Good night, everyone, and welcome back to Nocturnal Corner with Bat. And in today's episode, we're going to be going on to our third video, which is actually going to be a two-parter. So this is actually going to have two videos instead of one. The first one is going to be accessibility and inclusion, providing great guest experiences for all. This one's going to be by Meghan Mirsch. She's an Assistant General of Comcast NBCUniversal, and her partner is going to be Myron. Pincomb. He's a board chairman of IBCCES, which I have no idea what that stands for, but it's actually a company. So you remember how, yes, the other day I talked about those partnerships where if these kids have these cognitive disabilities, they have autism, they have some type of disability or anything like that?
Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
He's one of the companies that actually helps certify you and gives you all the information you need to actually take part into those type of industries.
Oh, okay.
So do you have any questions about that? I know we did something similar the other day.
No, not at the moment.
All right. What about you, Tempest? Any questions? I know you're a new guy
Yeah.
here.
Let's just get into it and see where it goes.
Alright. And then the next video, I'm going to ready up, is going to be bringing it back to the basics. Lessons learned from resilient theme parks and attractions. This one, instead of everyone taking a turn and teaching like a different portion of their experience, they all kind of join up together and do like 5 individual points. So the first one is Matthew Earnest, Principal Entertainment Culture Advisor, then Dennis Gilbert, President, and then Linda Hung, Vice President. Dennis is actually an interesting case because he's actually been all around. And when I mean all around, he's been to like Beijing, different SeaWorld parks. He's like been all around the world doing different types of theme park industries. But the first one that we were going to be talking about, though, is the accessibility inclusion. And that one I was just going to basically do a summary because it kind of covers up, you know, the same stuff that we already talked about. And when the Meghan came up on to the screen, she was basically talking about how, you know, she goes with Comcast Universal, right? Which is like another Universal property that kind of, if I remember correctly, it was kind of like a combination of the shares that Comcast bought out, and that's why they have that Jimmy Fallon thing at Universal Studios. And what she was saying is that the Universal Sphere is like an attraction that's literally a giant ball, you know, sphere, and when you walk in there, it's like it shows like a little TV show for you to watch or something like that. And they were trying to make this as inclusive as possible. So when they first came open, they were already like wheelchair accessible. They had stuff for cognitive disabilities and whatnot. So they had like the like caption glasses, which I believe is like if you can't really hear very well, they have like a caption of the speeches and whatnot that's going on in the video. They would also have like listening devices for you. And one of the interesting things that they also had with that is something that we didn't cover on the last time, was that they somehow also have service animal accessibility in that sphere.
Really?
And then they went on to describe how they wanted to further go into it, and this is actually something we haven't talked about, is multiple languages. Because if you're trying to do like, you know, all these different types of people, you're probably going to need those multiple languages for people to actually understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Alright, and any questions on that so far?
I don't know, you're making sense.
Yeah, it seems like it's all pretty simple. And of course, you know, as I said before, what she was doing with Comcast is they were using partnerships. So they were getting like their training, they were getting their certifications, they were working closely with one of their partners so that way they could properly have everything set up through a, you know, basically like through like a second or third party. And that's where the other gentleman comes in, is his business, where he actually, you know, helps people get into that, where he provides the certification, he provides reports, he provides like help with, you know, he'll give you like people that'll help you actually construct your idea. So say you have like a ride in mind, or a restaurant in mind, or some type of attraction, they will give you the opportunity to add these things already built into your park. So if you remember those calming corners for kids that are like freaking out from the sensibility, they will help you build those and put them in strategic areas for kids to easily access with their parents.
Gotcha.
And so after that, he's basically like one of the reporting guys. So they you know, when you get these partnerships, instead of just helping you look at everything, they give you reports on existing companies. So they'll show you like the profit reports, the reports on how many kids are happy about it. They'll do like the reports on how it's actually benefiting the parks and how it's helping with the revenue and everything, right? And they were showing that places like, they even brought up Sesame World. You remember that Sesame Park or whatever I said before that had like, that was all about Sesame Street? He actually brought that up. And there was also like a zoo at the Elmore Park Zoo and the Kennedy Space Center, who are all part of this program. And according to his reports, I don't know how accurate it is now, because you know these are like 3 years old. Apparently all these companies were just making a whole bunch of money and everything, because they were either getting people that were like, oh wow, I really like your message, I appreciate what you're doing here, I like what you're doing for these people, and then they would actually donate. So I think it was I think it was the Elmer Park, the zoo. They got $200,000 from a donor because he appreciated what they were trying to do for these children. And then it went on to like how social media becomes a big part into it, where people were like, oh wow, you know, this park is really trying to help all these kids and everything, and look how they're trying to be so inclusive for everyone. So, you know, they were having like really big media reports.
Rare sample acquired.
Oh wow.
And I guess you can kind of see where I'm talking about, where they're just showing off all these different reports and stuff. But that kind of basically sums up that whole video, because his whole part was mainly just showing the reports of how the parks were becoming successful from following this program. So, what do you guys think of the first video? Pretty basic and simple. I mean, Tempest, you're new to this. What do you think?
I was curious to know more about it.
What was that, Tempest? I didn't hear you.
Sending in an eagle.
So I'm curious to know more about it. Like,
I mean,
where did this lead to? What were the results of these initiatives?
So, where it basically leads to is all these places are trying to, you know, get diversity, equity, and inclusion all built into their park. So they're trying to include as many people as possible. But this isn't like the political one. So, you know, it's not that whole, oh, you need to have this race in here because they feel a certain way and whatnot, right? This is more about like kids that have certain learning disabilities, certain sensibility disabilities, like physical disabilities, and they're trying to include all these kids so that way families of all types will be able to become included. So they're basically trying to reach out to a bigger market. And when you have a place where, say, the mother feels safe, right, and she's going to want to bring her kid here more often, they're going to go into buying those annual passes and continue bringing their son, daughter, or whoever back to the park, which is going to increase your revenue. And, you know, you really want to keep those existing customers, those fans, because it's easier to keep a fan than it is to gain new fans.
Reloading.
And if the kids feel safe at the parks and everything, that means more times they're going to stay there, which also means more merchandise is going to be purchased, more tickets are going to be purchased, more hotel stays, more food purchases, which is where they make all their real money from. So you're kind of doing good for, you know, your community, but still it's a business.
Yeah. That's a nice touch to the, I didn't think about that, to the language barrier, like bridging that gap.
That way, you know, people aren't getting confused, people aren't getting lost, they're not just like roaming around freely because they can't read the English sign. Because, you know, when you start getting big, so say like Disney, Universal, and people start coming in from all around the world, they'll be able to actually read that menu instead of just pass it up because they don't know what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Sense. I mean, you won't cater to a white audience.
But, like, if you guys have anything to add to that, feel free, or otherwise we can move on to the basics.
I mean, you pretty much explained it all. And I don't know if you covered this part, but on top of the language barrier, yes, we'll have people that come back, but you'll also have people spreading that good word and also building more of a reputation. Kind of like how Disney World is famous and stuff like that.
Anybody else want to add anything else?
I'm friends with several of my friends have children who are on various points on the autism spectrum, so that's important to me that this outreach even exists. Is great.
And that's where the social media comes in, is when you have all these happy families, what are they going to do when they go online? And then they're gonna start promoting it, which is the only downside is basically more respect. So, and what I mean by more respect being a downside is you really want your employees to be trained up, you want them to follow the program and everything, because you don't want to bring your kid there and then all of a sudden they're yelling at your autistic kid looking confused.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Sending in an eagle.
The charging. I'm coming.
Flamethrower deals with them pretty good.
Tunnel breach.
Yeah, I passed one over. I'm coming to pick it up.
Dead.
There's one on my butt.
How about a nice cup of liver tea?
Alright, we got one more tunnel. And one of those big things just came through it.
Yep. That's file.
Dude, I messed up that reinforcement like 3 times. Alright.
It's alright. Come here, you!
So the next video I actually have notes on, because it was 5 parts, right? Where all 3 of them were just basically taking turns reading different aspects of it. And I actually remember the first one, which I want you to try to take a guess what it is. It's called Problematic Puppies.
Oh, really? Service animal.
So if I said problematic puppies, what do you think it is?
Reinforcing.
Probably poorly trained service dogs.
Gen Z.
It is about dogs, but it's not poorly trained service dogs.
That's nice. Okay. A twist.
So, problematic puppies
Uh-huh.
is all about adding either service dogs or your personal pet to a theme or water park.
Okay.
And their whole thing was like, there's pet families. There's people that probably spend more money on their pets than they do on their kids. And they're probably going to want to take their precious pooch wherever they go. So you got to think, like, if you build a water park, do you want them to be able to have their man's best friend with them everywhere? Or is it something that you want to avoid completely?
I see.
Now, there is ways that you could do this, because there's already existing water parks and parks where, you know, animals are included and are allowed to actually go through the area. And if you don't want the dog specifically in that park, you know, they said you could off to the side build a mini water park area to where the dogs will be like doggy daycare water park while staying out of the actual park. So it'll be like a place you can have them and play with them without bringing it into the main area.
I see.
Bug outpost spotted. Prepare to
So what do you think about bringing your furry friend to theme park or water park?
I would love to see the look on everyone's face if I brought my dog.
I think with bringing a dog, I think it varies. Because there's also some people who are scared of certain dogs.
That is one of the arguments they made. So the arguments that were made with this was shedding and how people would deal with that. There was the argument of people being allergic to dogs. There's the argument of people that hate dogs and get aggressive. There was the argument of people just being completely terrified of dogs and not wanting them to be in queue. And then there's the argument of people just bringing their dog, but they're like, say, a Karen, and their dog is actually very aggressive.
I think the problem is we've had a problem over, this has been a long time coming, is that you have legitimate service dogs, and then you have emotional support dogs. And they don't have to have any kind of training, they're just designated that way. My dog was designated as an emotional support dog when I got her. And I immediately removed that designation because she can't be around people.
That's an interesting, I'm gonna say it.
It's an interesting topic to think about.
Yeah.
Would it fit for your park, and would the consequences of either way benefit you?
I think it would genuinely depend on the message you're trying to bring out.
And also too, it's like I remember with your park, it's basically gonna be, you know, it's gonna attract veterans, you know, and have veterans that work there. And some of these veterans do have service animals to help with PTSD and different things. And I would think that you would favor accommodating animals.
I think there should be some way to house service dogs and whatnot, so that way you don't have to just abandon it and you would be able to use it. But I feel like there should be restrictions.
Yeah.
Which I feel like would be better operated through those partnerships, so that way you can get the reports to see how it properly works out.
Yeah. But it's a slippery slope. Slippery slope, but it's not, I guess.
It's definitely one of those things that you could go for it or you could leave it in a way.
Yeah.
But if it's service dog, usually, like, you know, these water parks and whatnot, they'll have like areas off to the side that you can bring your service dog to. And you don't really see them, like, you know, go down the slides or get into the queues.
I see. They have their own little section off in the area.
And you might not know where it is either, because I never knew about them until I actually did a diagnosis of the maps of the water parks.
Oh, wow.
Alright.
Didn't know that.
But I feel like that was a pretty quick one to talk about. It's just like, you know, the ethicalness of bringing your furry friend to a water park or a theme park, which it usually depends on a lot of factors.
Yeah.
I mean, my dog is truly a member of the family. I treat her as my favorite child, so I get the desire to do it, but at the same time, you know, I feel like I have to look out for other people's interests.
Yeah. Like you don't want to go there and make other people uncomfortable and whatnot.
Yeah. My dog is massive. My dog is huge, so just sheer size is intimidating. I mean, she's super sweet, but I mean, people are terrified of her now when they meet her. Much less in a big public setting like that, where she'd be more on guard. So like a true service dog, I have zero issues with whatsoever. Those are dogs that are working and doing, you know, doing a job. If I wanted to take my dog to a specific like pet,
You wanted to take your
themed
dog
place, then that's something. You know. If it's like a pet themed park, that's one thing. But if it's just a general public place.
Yeah, I got you.
Got a sample.
All right. So moving on to the second one, I actually remember this one as well. And this one is kind of a simple one as well. It's wellness and health. So saying that, what do you think that topic's about?
Enemy patrol, northeast.
Wellness and health?
Diet and exercise.
Exercise, diet, you know, your mental health and whatnot. So they'll usually bring up a few things on this one, like, so this video is like during the time of COVID and whatnot, right? So they were talking about how people don't want to get cooped up in their house. They want to be able to get out, you know, have fun, enjoy life. And saying that, you know, a lot of people want to be able to actually move their bones. They want to be able to get out there and have fun. And they'll usually say that instead of just having like these 4D rides, these roller coaster rides, to implement things that they can get like a little bit of exercise in. So say you have like a river, right? You could put one of those boats that have the, what is it called? You can have one of those boats that have like the foot pedals, so that way they can go and row it. Or you could have like the rope swings, so that way they can get some type of exercise. Because they say you don't want to tire people out, but you know you want them to have like a little bit of exercise so they feel like they're doing something.
Yeah.
Well, that's the real trick. Getting people to exercise, having fun, so they don't realize they're exercising.
Collected. Supply.
That's a good point.
So, saying that, of course, one of the other major ones is food. So, you know, we're getting into a place where we got these weird vegans trying to, like, protest at McDonald's and whatnot. But then you got, like, the normal ones, or the people that want to go out there and stay fit because they got, like, a diet and whatnot. And you got to remember that when people are walking around all day in your park, or even swimming around all day, or it's hot outside, they're going to want, they're going to want something to drink, they're going to want something to eat. And a lot of the time, those people might not want that hamburger, that corn dog, those chicken tenders. So people are going to want to move more towards a salad, a wrap, you know, some water, or something more of a healthy choice. Any comments on that?
I mean, that seems like easily doable for a park.
Yeah, it seems doable, but also I was thinking like you want to like add another notch to the hat, I guess, or notch to the belt. Would be like have like you're mentioning people that are exercising and stuff. You know, a lot of them will want a smoothie or something like refreshing. Or even like a fruit stand. You know, you got fresh fruit available to them.
From what I've seen, they usually keep those at hotels where the gyms are. But every now and then, you know, they'll have like the snack bars, like those frozen desserts. They'll do like milkshakes and whatnot, or melts.
Yeah.
So you could probably get like a fruit one from there. One of the things they actually brought up was Six Flags in, I think it was Georgia. Did you know that Six Flags in Georgia, a lot of their vegetables come from the park itself? Because in the middle of the park is a farm.
Really?
And in a way that makes people want to take part in that more, because they know that it was freshly grown in the park.
That's interesting. I honestly didn't know that.
And it kind of makes it, because, you know, people always talk about how everything in America is, you know, has like all these chemicals and whatnot in them. So if you know that what you're getting is like actually grown right there, and there's no all these chemicals or anything, and it's not just like, you know, frozen, it kind of makes it seem a little different, doesn't it?
Yeah. Pretty neat though. Uh-oh, charger. Oh, about thing.
So there was actually one more thing in there, and if you remember, I said something about mental health.
Yes.
So one of the things that they were talking about was gardens, greens, and having like vegetation to be like a calming factor to keep people's mental health in check. So actually using the greenery to keep, you know, people, I don't know how to say it, like give them their nirvana or something like that, if you get what I mean. So that was interesting.
That is interesting. I mean, it makes sense.
Anything else you think you could add for Helton? If not, we can go to the third topic.
Yeah, I don't got anything else. I don't know if anybody else does.
Alright. Well, I guess let's move on. So going to the third out of 5, so you know, 3 out of 5, however you want to say it, is going to be paradigm, I don't know if I'm saying that right, shifts. So this is like technology moving in the future. These are things that you're seeing happen now, where, say, your Wendy's, right? It has more business but less customers in the store. And because now more people are using apps, more people are using drive-thrus, and more people don't have to like use their time to actually go in there.
I feel like that was by design, though. Like we were forced into using apps.
Yes, it's basically like the evolution is where these shifts are.
Yeah, I think about that too. It does seem that way.
So when they were talking about this, they were talking about, you know, what if you have more apps controlling the line? So say right before you go into a line, you do like the queues. You could put it on your phone, and then it'll be just like, it'll tell you when your time is there, so you don't have to wait in line. And then it'll make guests like want to go in, you know, spend time either like in the pool, spend time in the restaurant buying more food, spending more time in the store buying merchandise. So then that way they're not just all standing in the line. So that was one of the things. And then there's also like the labor. So they were talking about like how we're having more like robots and whatnot come in and be the servers. If you've seen those like Japanese restaurants and whatnot, where it's actually like robots giving you your food now.
Say hello to democracy!
So those are like one of the shifts. They were also talking about like pre-setups. So a lot of the theme parks and everything, before they actually come out, they're actually already all made, and then when they're ready to come in, they just kind of. Oh, I hope the eagle doesn't hit me. Ooh. But it's like things for construction. They already have it made, so by the time the building gets there, the statue or, you know, the roller coaster, they're just unloaded off a truck and put it together like Legos.
Huh. Makes sense. It would make sense. I mean, it would be economical and better managing your time.
Just keeping up with the times. But there's a negative that they talked about in this. If you take away more of the queue lines, and you're taking away, like, say, those people, and what you're doing is adding more like automation to everything, what does that take away?
Jobs.
Well, they didn't say it was the jobs that it was taking away. It was something else.
The human interaction?
There you go. Older people are gonna want that human interaction, that face-to-face, that, oh wow, I appreciate you, I'm happy you did that for my child. Or say like those boat rides where you come, how am I say it? You come from the hotels and whatnot, and you have like the captain who will talk to you. He would tell jokes.
Yeah.
You're not really gonna get that from the robots and whatnot.
Nope.
You're missing that human interaction.
Yeah, that's true.
And then
Some people do need that.
yeah, I mean it adds to the experience. It lets your people feel like they're more of a guest with a host. And then there's something else that's actually missing. Have you ever been to Universal and got into the Hagwarts motorcycle ride?
I have not personally.
Well, think of heavy theming. Think of family like fun games. Think of things that you can do that's, you know, in the line. If you don't have to wait in those lines, that's less design and less of an experience for you to go through, because now that whole architecture of them building these catacombs and all of these Easter eggs of the TV shows and everything is just gone, because now you're just staring at your phone waiting for your turn.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
it's taking away from the immersion and the sightseeing.
Which really you want people to wander around and spend time in the park.
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense. It wouldn't be take away from the experience quite a bit.
It makes it a little easier for water parks, because water parks have a bunch of what I like to call non-active attractions, where you don't have to, you know, wait in a big line or anything. So you could just go in the lazy river, you can go in the hot tubs, you could go in the rapid river, you could go in the wave pool, and you can enjoy yourself in other activities. While if you're at a theme park and you're just waiting for all these things to happen, it's kind of like how they said you're losing some of that aspect of sightseeing, you're losing some of that human interaction. You're more likely to just walk around the store and maybe purchase like a teddy bear or two.
Yeah, that's true. Makes sense.
Reloading.
In a way, that might be good for business, but if they leave feeling like a little bored, that might not be great. So this is just things that I'm thinking about, but they said could work with the newer generation.
Yeah. It could, but like you said, you'll have older people, and even regular people that still want that. They want to soak in it a little bit.
Sometimes I feel like the newer generation has been told they're supposed to enjoy it, having not really experienced that interaction, having been, you know, kind of left out in the cold during all the COVID lockdown.
It's possible.
I mean, do you see where I'm coming from, or am I too in the weeds here?
No, I get what you mean. You're thinking like social media, how like with the current trend in politics where it seems like a bunch of brainwashing. And it's kind of like telling people how to see this new world and everything, and people are trying to stick with the times.
Last reload.
It's part of it. I mean, I see a lot of jobs I had as a kid being replaced. I mean, I was the dishwasher when I was in high school. And, you know, I worked in an industry now that doesn't even exist, which was offset lithography. I did bindery.
Marking location.
And those were great high school jobs.
I believe it.
Throwing supply.
And we are kind of in a generation where it's a lot harder for the younger generation to get jobs, get housing, even purchase groceries.
Yeah.
And a lot of them don't even realize it.
And that's the sad part.
Calling in extraction.
That's no bueno.
Alright. Well, if you guys don't have any else things to add on that one, we can move on to the fourth one.
Sure. I'm good. I don't know what else does.
Alright. So number 4, and this one seems kind of self-explanatory. personal space. So when people come to a park, they're gonna want to be with, you know, mostly their families, mostly their friends. They don't want to be crowded up, and this is where the line comes in again, is that if you're all cramped up with all these people, you're probably gonna want your own personal space and whatnot. And some of the things that they even talked about was how some people actually miss those drive-through theaters where you could just sit in your car with those people, and you could have like your own personal, say, like those mini attractions. Well, what are those things called? It's like a ball that's attached to the skyline, and you can just like sit in there and see the sights and everything, and kind of be by yourself or with your family.
Oh,
Like one of those rotating restaurants?
No, it's like the ski lifts, except they're like enclosed.
I forget what they're called.
But
Sky something or other. I remember one of the theme park
But
go visit relatives they had that.
But that was one of the things that they were talking about, is how these people, a lot of people want their own space. They don't want to be in like super crowded. They you know, like a lot of, one of the things Americans really have is like that personal bubble.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's something that you kind of have to be careful with as well, because a lot of people, when they think about such things, we didn't even activate this. But when certain people think about such things, is humans are social creatures, and definitely in America, we are known for just starting conversations with strangers.
Yep.
So you don't want to just completely block that out, and you know, you still want to have those guides, because if you remember in the last one, we talked about how people want that face-to-face interaction.
Yes.
So it's definitely one of those hard subjects where you're gonna maybe want to have those attractions and everything where people can, you know, have their space if they need it. Maybe have those quiet corners to themselves. Maybe go sit on a bench and enjoy their food somewhere. But at the same time, you don't want to completely take away that human interaction.
Yeah.
Requesting air support.
Do you guys have anything to add to that one?
Well, like on the personal space, like I was kind of curious. Is it just like, I'm trying to think for a second. I was thinking for a second it had to do with like they're physically just facing the people. You know, because some people can't handle being around those people. You got those kind of individuals also, or they require like I remember a girl in high school that you couldn't touch her. You got to think about being touched.
So that would definitely fall into more of the categories of those cognitive disabilities, where, you know, I know that's one of those disabilities where, because I knew a girl from high school like that, to where if you accidentally bumped into her, she would start crying and freaking out. And I think that's going to be more
that makes sense.
Like special need type of activities. It's not like trying to treat her like she's dumb or anything, but it's going to definitely need some type of assistance.
Yeah, I hear anything but about that.
And that's where the apps and everything should like start coming into play as well, because I actually missed that part. I forgot that the lady also talked about how they made an app that talks about all the sensitivities and everything of every activity, and how they threw in like multiple aspects of like how much time there is, how crowded it's going to be, what time you should be here, how loud the music and everything is. And it's basically like if you have any type of form of cognitive disability or anything, you'll be able to go through this app. And I think we even talked about this before, how they were trying to implement something like that, where it would show like the type of colors, the sounds, if it's touch, and they would have like ratings and everything beside it.
Right, true.
Oh, dang, we missed something?
Yeah, we missed the Seaf.
Yeah, it's the safe.
Hard to see anything on that planet.
Alright. Well, we're just moving on to the last one. This one is also pretty simple. It's just from survival to revival. And hearing them explain it, I kind of had the wrong idea, I believe. Because all they were really talking about is how these parks are still here and how they were using resources and items that they've already had in the park to boost their experience. So say like a garden. They were talking about how this garden used their own waterways and everything and their fountains to just make a fountain show spectacle that brought them back on the map.
Freedom wins again.
Or they would give like celebrations and everything so that way people would come back and take part in the events.
Helldive. The Super Destroyer is ready for your next mission.
And it's like different types of activities, different type of events, different types of theaters. So like one of them was a zoo, and the zoo had a theater on it to where it was like the roaring show or something like that, and it would just have all these people take part and, you know, become unison with each other. And it was like different ways that they could bring in money through their success of different ideas, and how you want to always like pay attention how the world is evolving.
I see.
One of the things that they were trying to really talk about on that was hometown pride. So like say you're here in Florida and you're just like, you know, just gun-ho Floridian, and you're just talking about how, because you know the residents, you're just really going into pride. So say it's like a football team, like you're proud of your neighborhood football team, and it's that hometown pride, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Kind of catered to the area. Not catered to the area, but like you're reflecting your home state.
Yeah.
Let them
What?
come. Let them
But that's basically the 5 things. Is they were a little hard to talk about and say again, because it was mainly them just kind of just giving ideas about things that you could do in your park. Except for the first one. The first one was about, you know, the partnerships. The second one, those 5 topics were about, you know, just things that you could implement, things that you should probably keep in mind and see what's actually been successful in the
Rare
past.
sample acquired.
Yeah.
Sample collected.
But that's the 2 videos. Do you guys have anything to add or any questions?
Definitely a
Dropping
lot to
pin,
consider.
Southwest, 50 meters.
I think the service animal one was a good one. You know, you kind of want to be able to have everybody feel welcome, but having like a dedicated area is a good idea.
What about you guys? Do you guys have anything to add? I kept trying to pull out my flamethrower and I forgot I didn't call it in.
This charger chasing me.
I've only had my flamethrower.
Rare sample acquired.
Well, but I mean, if you guys don't have anything else to add on that, I guess that. I forgot what I was thinking. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, we got 3 Bile Titans here, by the way. I think I called the wrong one.
Sending in an eagle.
But I think it was an interesting topic. Just it felt like a refresher on the first one. I don't think it was too necessary to say it. It felt like something that they could have added to the previous video. And the reason I say that is because if you remember, because it sounded awfully a lot like the other video, right?
Yeah, it did, honestly.
The thing about it is they hosted that same session the same day.
Really?
So that's why it was like this is like more of a refresher than anything. But the second one was interesting, you know, hearing the perspective of others. but it's like I said, it's just more like just interesting ideas to consider.
Yeah.
So it's more of just like an interesting topic of, hey, maybe you should just think of implementing this into the future, or how this could actually work for you in the future. So it felt more like like try to think of everything and see what would work for you.
Yeah. Did I shoot you?
No, somehow the thing died and I still got crushed. He didn't even,
I just murdered.
he didn't even stomp the ground, I just died.
Yeah, I thought it was like, I just murdered him.
No. Alright, well.
Friendly fire.
Alright, well, it was good talking to you guys again. Hopefully I will actually post this video up soon instead of absolutely forgetting to post it like I did the last one.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was interesting.
Yeah, and if you guys want to join in on the next one, I'll let you know when I'm ready for the next video.
Definitely.
Alright, well that's gonna be it, everyone. And I'm gonna be signing off for tonight. I hope all of you guys have an absolutely great night, and I think the four of us will be wishing you all a farewell. This is Bat signing off. You guys want to say bye?
Have a good chatting about it. Y'all take care, folks.
Yeah, I heard you say it, but I didn't know if anyone else wanted to say nothing. Well, have a good night.